Hall of Famer Chris Carter, that is Nick Wright. We've got a great show for you today, including a Steelers star calling out the team, LeBron James putting on a show at the Staples Center, and you will never guess where Dez Bryant wants to play football this year. That's where we will kick things off this morning with Dez Bryant, the unemployed wide receiver who spent the last 4 weeks watching football from the couch like the rest of us. Dez has not ruled out a return to the league. It's the league who has seemingly ruled out a return of Dez. Last night, someone asked Dez on Twitter who he'd sign with, and he tweeted, "I'd rather it be the Dallas Cowboys. If not, I'll be ready to play somewhere else." Well, isn't that interesting? CC, what do you think? I mean, we've been sort of floating this idea almost jokingly, but should the Cowboys bring back Dez Bryant?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, even at the beginning, and I think first, Jenna, you posed a question. Dez Bryant got released
in the spring.
Yes. And
bad timing for him because it was after free agency. It was a time where teams had basically already spent their free agency money. So that's the time we're talking about.
Yeah, but just to put it in context as far as the things that have happened. Second week in April 13th, 47 wide receivers have been signed since then. But within a week of that, we're doing shows. We have no off season. Jenna asked Nick and I, hey, is there a chance Dez Bryant might not be playing? And I said what we've learned, what we try not to say is, that's a dumb question. And Nick and I was like, no, Jenna, that's not the question. That was a tough question. That was a good question because I'm fooled by the whole thing. I thought Dez would have been signed. I was like, even with the early offer to Baltimore, let you know that there was some interest there. He turned down that multi-year contract. Even of late went to Cleveland last month, and they didn't sign him. Now, Cleveland has since let go of Josh Gordon. Why hasn't Cleveland revisited the issue as far as signing him? So I'm puzzled by the whole thing. I'm shocked. 47 other receivers signed since he was released April 13th, and Dez Bryant doesn't have a team. Dallas Cowboys, they got two big plays from their wide receivers.
Yes.
since the season started, they're 2-2. So these guys not setting it on fire. I'm puzzled by the whole thing. I'm concerned. When you look at the number of players that don't have resumes that the teams are taking a chance on, and Dez not being employed by an NFL team, I'm concerned about it, and I don't have a reason why he wouldn't be signed at this point in the season, Nick.
Could the Cowboys use him? Absolutely, unequivocally, yes. They're 30th in the league in points. They're 30th in passing. Despite being 4th in rushing, they are 27th in total yards because their passing's been so bad.
They need him.
There's 4 teams in the league that are averaging double the passing yards of the Dallas Cowboys, which seems impossible in pro football. Allen Hurns has been an abject disaster as your big free agent signing. See, you said you thought he could get to 1,000 yards because somebody had to.
I used to know wide receivers. I used to be able to predict stuff as far as wide receivers. I'm no know-it-all and everything, but Dez Bryant not playing in the NFL the first week in October, that's not going to happen. Allen Hurns coming over. I watched him play when he was at Miami. I saw at Jacksonville. He had a 1,000-yard season, got injured. Also, the quarterback in there in Jacksonville, I thought was holding him back. I was wrong about that.
Allen Hurns has 7 catches for 81 yards, and I don't point it out to twist a knife at you. Allen Hurns was their best option. But the guys who have been productive wide receivers for the Cowboys are a slot guy, Cole Beasley.
Yes.
An unknown tight end in Jeff Swaim, and a running back who catching isn't what he does well in Ezekiel Elliott. Those are top 3 targeted guys. They're top 3 catches. So, yes, they could use him. There's no question they could use him. I have this question, though. Does Dez Bryant actually want to play football? Or does he only want to play football for the Dallas Cowboys, and if they decided culturally and institutionally, we don't want him? Because you know this is almost a handicap of mine at times. I try to address everything from how does this make sense? The Khalil Mack trade made no sense to me until I thought, well, maybe Gruden thinks they don't have a quarterback, so they have to acquire the picks. They're going to be bad this year anyway. Then all of a sudden, that made sense to me. Dez Bryant turning down a deal from Baltimore, that made sense at the time. He miscalculated his market value. But then hardballing Cleveland for more money, that doesn't make sense to me when the market had been set. Unless Dez Bryant is a guy that lives in Dallas, Maybe he's been good with his money. Maybe he's comfortable in Dallas and has had this time away from football and is feeling, I don't have to play it. I would like to play for the Cowboys. I would like to be back with Jerry Jones. If that's not the case, and maybe that isn't the case, then there's only two other options. One is that the league has decided Dez Bryant does not need to be in the NFL anymore for reasons that we are not discussing, or that he is just continuing.
That would be hard to believe, because Seattle signed Michael Kendrick. This guy's getting ready to be
suspended,
he's getting ready to be sentenced in January. But he had already pleaded guilty. Seattle signed. They didn't care. Seattle signed him up. Like, we even see Carolina under their new ownership. They signed Eric Reed as a safety, the first guy who joined Cap as far as the protest. Like, Nick, I don't know what it is. It must be something, though. Like, there's no way a player like Dez Bryant. Now, no, he's not a superstar right now, but he should be starting in the NFL. He's one of the 64 best wide receivers in the world, and he's at home.
And certainly an upgrade, obviously, from what the Cowboys currently have.
I can list maybe a half dozen teams where he would walk in today and be their best receiver. He would be the best receiver on the Cowboys. He would be the best receiver on Jacksonville, given the injury. He would be the best receiver, I believe, on the Jets or on the Niners. That's 4 teams. There's only 32 of them. So, like, this doesn't make sense. I know that we're supposed to come on television and have the answers. There's a piece of this puzzle that is going to make it all snap into focus, like a movie where there's a twist at the end. You're like, oh, now I get it. The piece is either there is some intel on Dez Bryant that scares teams away way more than pleading guilty to insider trading, way more than, not to make the Eric Reed comparison because he did nothing wrong, but way more than the controversy surrounding Eric Reed. Way more, Michael Floyd? Just got signed by a team Dez wanted to go to with his off-the-field, I think, drinking problems in the past. It's either something like that off the field that scares people away from Dez Bryant.
What about New England?
Sure.
I mean, New England took in Josh Gordon.
Absolutely right.
Now, we know Josh Gordon has been in crisis since this season twice.
Right.
You know? Like, we know that. He was in crisis a couple weeks ago on a Saturday, late for the team practice, and we know before training camp he had some type of crisis that he removed himself and decided to seek more treatment before he started the season.
What about it from the other side, from the Cowboys' perspective? Besides pride, what would keep Jerry Jones from bringing Dez Bryant back? Obviously, there's a need, and obviously they know who he is. And whatever this off-the-field thing is, they were seemingly okay with it for years and years up until this past offseason.
Jerry, it's not what Dallas knows, I think. It's what Dallas does not want to tolerate anymore. You know, they've decided that Dak is going to be their guy. Like, Zeke's the best player on the team and in the organization, but Dak's going to be their guy. And they said, we're trying to create a Dak-friendly offense and a Dak-friendly environment. They didn't say environment, but when you start letting guys go and you know that there might be some type of conflict, and we know the coaching staff didn't want Dez Bryant to come back through the reports and everything in Dallas. So when you start saying things like that, it's going to be hard for Dallas to bring because they've already made the quarterback a priority.
It's hard looking at, with all the information we have, it is hard to draw any conclusion that does not involve this fact. Dak Prescott does not want to be throwing the ball to Dez Bryant. He would rather be throwing the ball to less talented guys, have one hand tied behind his back, than whatever comes with Dez. Because here's what you would say, see, I can't prove it, and I can't prove it, but I could make a hell of a case in court. Here's something I feel like I know. If Dak Prescott today walked in to Jerry Jones's office and said, bring back Dez, I think the phone call is made. Now, I'm not saying,
doubt.
I don't think Dak Prescott went to the office and said, get rid of him. I'm not putting that on him. But
that's a difference.
There's a difference between a guy pushing a guy out the door, or once a guy's out the door, a guy not advocating for him. But if Dak Prescott today, I believe, said, we need Dez Bryant back, Jerry clearly still has love for him. I don't
went
want
to a concert.
Yeah, and I don't want to make too much of that, but there's a lot, like, to spend time outside of work with someone you used to work with shows you have a friendly, if not loving, relationship with the person. Jerry clearly still has affection for Dez Bryant. It is a football decision, and with all their comments about Dak-friendly offense, we're doing this, we're doing that, Dak, if he thought they needed him or wanted him, I think Dak would have that power to do that.
Yeah, I am not that kind of person that if you used to work with me, like, you better make sure we on proper speaking terms and everything before you try to approach me. I ain't like Jerry. Nick has seen that up close in person.
That is a true story.
You're not going to Beyonce concerts with your enemies.
No. Well, certainly not with your colleagues.
No. Clearly.
Sometimes they think
even
you're
current
friends,
ones. Guys, take a break. Coming up, Le'Veon Bell is far from the Steelers' biggest issue. We'll discuss details next on First Things First.
That's